This summer, Mark and I embarked on an unforgettable adventure, cycling the European Divide Trail. Created by Andy Cox, this epic route spans 7,600 kilometers, climbs a staggering 83,000 meters, and takes you through 9 countries from the Arctic to the Atlantic. It's a journey of extremes, unforgettable landscapes, and incredible stories. Join us as we tackle this once-in-a-lifetime challenge. We left early, enjoying a refreshing downhill and shaded forest paths, before crossing into Cologne via a scenic bridge. The Dom greeted us from afar, and we paused briefly amidst the tourist crowds before moving on. The city's chaos, construction detours, and 35 degrees Celsius heat tested us, but shady parks and refreshing fountains kept us going. Outside the city, we tackled grassy tractor paths and forest trails, pausing to marvel at the giant Effelsberg radio telescope. By 7 p.m., we reached a pre-booked campsite, finally a peaceful spot to rest after a demanding day. A morning stop in Adenau included ice cream and a chat with Dutch motorcyclists who snapped a photo of us. Soon after, we rode through the Nürburgring circuit area, tackling a grueling 340-meter climb over 6 kilometers on rocky paths. In the afternoon, ominous clouds loomed. We took shelter at a gas station as rain and nearby hailstorms rolled through. Once it eased, we cycled into scenic but touristy Kokkum, skirting the Moselle River to a camping spot surrounded by vineyards. It was a shorter but exhausting day. After a restless night of heat, rain, and noisy neighbors, we packed up early, opting to move on despite the stormy forecast. It was humid and challenging, but we stayed dry as the rain clouds passed us by. Our bikes, however, struggled. Persistent issues led us to a bike shop because the drivetrain was worn and needed replacement. They adjusted what they could, but things only ran worse. We decided to pause at a peaceful camping spot, ordering the needed parts to be delivered. A helpful owner lent us tools, and we planned a rest day tomorrow to regroup. We started with a leisurely breakfast at a local bakery, enjoying not one, but 2 cappuccinos. It almost felt like a vacation. After shopping for lunch and dinner supplies, we returned to the campsite to clean our bikes and loosen the parts we'll be replacing. Just as we finish breakfast, the mailman arrives. Our highly anticipated package is here. After some adjustments, everything feels perfect, and by noon, we're ready to roll. The first 20 kilometers are a serious test, climbing over 3 summits. Thankfully, the bikes perform flawlessly. The new components and fresh brake pads make a world of difference. En route, we stop in Weilerbach at a motel bustling with motorcyclists, prepping for a rally. We set off, riding parallel to the US Ramstein Air Base before reaching Kaiserslautern. There, we replace our fuel stove and head back into the woods. We pass Area 1, a Cold War munitions depot, before reaching the French border. A small sign marks the crossing, but the change in village style makes it clear we've arrived in country number 6 on our route. Despite rain in the forecast, the day stays dry, and we camp at a tidy municipal site, capping the day with a swim. We wake to steady rain and pack up reluctantly. The morning takes us through agricultural areas with unclear, rough paths. Several routes are blocked by electric fences, forcing us to find detours, tricky when trying to avoid unnecessary climbs. By lunchtime, we reach Sor-Varanger, entering the town via a canal lined with locks, boats, and a bustling flea market. The afternoon brings a tough ascent. Leaving Sor-Varanger, we climb into the clouds, treated to occasional breathtaking views. We stop for the night at Col du Donong, opting for a room to avoid descending the mountain in search of a campsite. We start early, repairing Mark's flat tire with the help of a handy compressor. The morning begins with light climbs under partly cloudy skies, offering stunning views, taking us 700 meters higher to 1,020 meters, the highest point so far. A long descent brings us to Lac de Longemer, where we find a peaceful campsite. A friendly French couple assures us the Jura section ahead will be stunning. We set off as the sun rises over the mountains. We ascend under the Lalande ski lift, giving us an alpine vibe, and pause atop a 400-meter climb to catch our breath. The afternoon brings another steep climb to 1,050 meters, surrounded by trees and ferns providing welcome shade. Technical trails make for slow descents. Finally, we divert slightly to reach the only available campsite in Belfort, capping off another rewarding day in the mountains. Rain left our tents soaked, but we start dry. Leaving Belfort, smooth asphalt gives way to muddy forest trails. Climbing intensifies, with hints of the recent Tour de France Femmes along the way. Our planned campsite no longer exists, so we push on through tough forest paths. Finally, we find a room in a small village, ending the day with relief. The morning begins with a climb, warming us up before a descent in the shade that has us pulling on layers again. We follow a former railway track turned bike path, which makes for steady, manageable riding with minimal elevation changes. In Pontarlier, we stock up at Decathlon. New slippers, power banks, and sunglasses. Lunch is a steal, pasta, a drink, and dessert for €6.90. Perfect fuel for the Jura climbs ahead. Soon, we cross into Switzerland, land 7 of the journey. Continuing upward, we pass free-roaming cows and countless gates. By evening, we reach a cozy mountain hut, opting to camp outside. With a roaring stove and water from a nearby well, we enjoy wraps for dinner. A scenic, satisfying end to the day. A chilly but peaceful night at the mountain hut. After breakfast, we face immediate climbs and poor trails. Loose stones and muddy logging roads slow us down. Progress is tough, with no alternative paths. After another climb, we find a closed camping site and must press on. The roads improve slightly, but it's a struggle to find lodging. Finally, after multiple rejections, we secure a room late in the day. Only 60 kilometers covered, but it feels like much more. We start early from our hotel and head back to the route. It begins well with a gravel path, but soon we encounter a herd of cows blocking the way. Carefully maneuvering past them, we continue, only to face rough trails again. After lunch, we descend further and begin a long climb, 900 meters, over 19 kilometers. At the summit, strong winds and looming rain clouds greet us. A French couple warns us about an approaching storm. Deciding to play it safe, we descend early and reach a sheltered campsite. Our tents are secured just in time, keeping us dry as the storm rolls in. Perfect timing. We had heavy rain last night, but no wind or storms. By morning, the skies cleared, and we set off for a long stretch along the Rhone. With groceries packed, we stopped at a well-equipped picnic spot for cyclists, complete with charging stations, a toilet, and fresh water. When the Rhone veered west, we continued south on gravel trails. Toward the day's end, we tackled a 500-meter climb, followed by a detour through a dense forest. Finally, we descended to Lac de Paladru and set up camp. The small family-run campsite had a private beach, perfect for a refreshing swim in the beautiful lake. When we wake up, it's a chilly 10 degrees Celsius and damp. We pack up our wet tents and head to a bakery for breakfast. The day starts with a climb out of the valley, clouds still clinging to the mountains. The climb is tough, but rewarded with a long descent. Strong winds at the top shift unpredictably on the way down. We descend to the Isère River, its stunning blue waters a highlight, and follow flat terrain into Valence. The city's bustling streets don't impress us, but soon we reconnect with the Rhone, and ride its scenic banks to a campsite right along our route. Mark's rear tire was flat last night, so we patched it quickly before dark. I tightened my crank and re-lubed the pedals to fix a small creak. Feeling fresh, we hit the Rhone cycling path, crossing the river several times on stunning bridges and following a former railway line. Leaving the smooth bike path, we tackled the Col de l'Escrinet. The climb started on sunny asphalt before transitioning to loose gravel in the shade. The heat made it a tough ascent, but the view from the top was breathtaking. We then cycled through rolling hills lined with vineyards, stunning in their own right. Picking up another rail trail, we passed through tunnels and high bridges with beautiful vistas. The heat persisted, so we stopped for ice cream at a canoe rental and sought shade frequently. As the next big climb loomed, we found a nearby campsite to tackle it early tomorrow in cooler weather.